It is AEW week on the podcast. We're delighted to say that. It's been a while since we've said that. It's great to have an AEW week, but just hot off the heels of what was an incredible Full Gear this past weekend. Really enjoyable show. I am joined by, well, I called him the man from the demand himself, but also probably a bit of celebratory mood, Bishop Khan, this week. How are
A little
you?
bit, a little bit. Doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Over here in the UK, I know you're coming over in about 2 or 3 weeks. Just
hmm
bring some warm stuff with you. That's all I
I mean, I'm a fan of the cold. I love the cold weather, so I'm excited for it. Yeah,
move over here. You love it.
yeah.
It is freezing over here in the UK. Funnily enough, I've not long got off the plane from Morocco. I went to Morocco for a
Oh
week, and
wow.
despite the fact I nearly died on my way out there because the airplane got hit by, well, the plane wing got hit by lightning on the way into Morocco.
That's that's
Yeah.
terrifying.
And if
That's
you wanted
terrifying.
if you wanted a refresher, just how cold it was, you go from like 20, 25 to I don't know, 80 or to like -3 on the day that we
Okay.
came back to the USA. Yeah. I mean a holiday blues for more ways than one. But celebratory mode, yes, because your buddy
hmm
Ricochet won the national championship this past weekend. But Full Gear itself, one thing that I've always said about AEW pay-per-views is just they knock it out of the park, or you guys, should I say,
hmm
knock it out of the park every single time. And this past weekend was no different.
Yeah, 100%. Tremendous show. I'm actually like rewatching kind of right now. Because sometimes when you're there, you don't get to watch all the matches, so I want to go
Mhm.
back and just kind of remember what everything that was going on. But tremendous show from top to bottom. It was midnight by the time the main event went on, but the crowd was still hot. People were still excited for it. It was awesome. And again, Ricochet, the inaugural AEW national champion, his quest for gold has been fulfilled. But Toa's eyes, not yet. But at least we got our man Ricochet the belt. And I think it's now time for us to go for tag gold, trios gold. We can't just be naked with him. Like we have to all have our waist covered with some type of title.
The man needs all the gold, right? That's
Yes,
uh,
sir.
that's how we do it. Obviously, you're coming off the back of a very interesting feud over the last few months with the Hurt Syndicate as well,
Yes.
which was
Yes.
I remember we were very fortunate enough. We was at Forbidden Door over here in the UK, and we were very grateful. We got the media credentials and backstage at the end, for the scrum and everything else. And you guys made an impact there as well. But I just wanted to touch on the European crowds or the crowds in general, because obviously right now more than ever, wrestling is branching out. Right, we're seeing more and
Yes.
more shows internationally, and I spoke to Tony Khan at the end at the press conference. I sort of mentioned that obviously you've come over here and you're coming back, and is there more scope for you guys to branch out over to more countries? And he was obviously indicating that there is going to be soon. Is that something that you're going to be looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, any chance we get to go overseas, to travel to new countries that I've never been to before, I'm always down to go. So going to Scotland was the first time I've ever been there. Second time I've been to London. We're going to Manchester. I'm so excited for
Mhm.
that. Australia next year. I've never been
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's like some of the perks of the job. You get to go beat people up, and then you get to go tour and go see the other countries in the world. So I love it.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, I've had the privilege of being out in America to see some shows, and it's great to be in that environment, right? Because you
Yeah.
get to know like Chicago crowd's always hot. I mean,
Yep.
obviously over here the crowd, because we don't get it every week. It's always
Yeah.
that bit. We make a bit of effort. Soccer chants, as they say, or football
Yeah.
chants, as they say, are very loud over here, and that's how we roll over here in the
hmm
UK. But you guys will be, I'm sure you'll be having great fun in Manchester. But look, we'll come back to AEW because your
hmm
story kind of it was started before Maryland Championship Wrestling, but that was where it really kind of kicked off for you. You was the Bomb Squad initially.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That's a throwback. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you changed to the Sons of Savagery. Now, apart from the obvious, is there another reason why the name change?
Uh, well, the first faction, the Bomb Squad, we were basically Napalm Bomb's henchmen.
Yep,
So that was like his group, and then we had
yep,
Trick,
his
of
group.
course, who was like our Andre 3000. But then once we broke ties with him, then it was just Moses and I. So then we were no longer tied to that group.
Mhm.
So that was like our tag team name was the SOS, Soldiers, Sons of Savagery, but then it became Soldiers of Savagery because
Yep.
Joey Mercury. Yeah, but we each wanted to create our own identity after we turned on our leader at that time.
You did. You did turn on him. But
Yeah,
you also got your first taste of gold there. I think it was in Armageddon 2018, if I'm right. That was when
I
you
think
guys won.
so.
the
Yeah.
championship. But obviously, look, you done your training beforehand, but when you're winning the championship there, and you kind of like in that sort of in that territory, if you like to call it,
Hmm.
when you're champions, yeah, you're the reason that people come and see the shows, right? That's the champions. It's always been the case, right? The champions are the draw. Do you find that was it extra pressure for you? Did you enjoy? Did you thrive with it? Just sort of being you're one of the front and center people of this
Yeah.
territory.
Dang, feeling nostalgic. It's so funny because I remember when I met Moses, I was like, hey, there's no tag teams here that look like us. Like, I think if we become a tag team, we'll get put on shows immediately. And then that
Mm,
kind of happened. And we were both two of the bigger guys that were training at the training center at the time. We looked at the other tag teams at Maryland Championship Wrestling at the time
yeah.
too. So I think we became RJ Meyer, rest in peace. We became like his pet project. So we always got the opportunity to go have these matches, and they were like, "Hey, this is the opportunity." I remember the day that we won those. I was still pretty introverted. I remember I just like screamed out this like intense like guttural yell. I was so excited, but it was pressure because now we're representing the company. They have
Mm,
faith in you. You're on the posters. People are coming to see y'all. Now we have to step it up. Like, what can you guys? What are you actually capable of? We put the
mm,
championships on you. Can you represent the brand and people look up to you guys and be like, hey, these are two future stars here. So let's see what they can do. Let's give them a good run with it. So funny enough, we never lost those belts. We had to give them up because before we got signed to Ring of Honor. But so we were in my
yes.
mind, we were the most dominated tag team in MCW history because we never lost.
Well, technically, yeah, you're still the champions, right? It's nearly 10
Yeah,
years,
pretty
so you're
much. Yeah,
7 years
yeah, yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Was it Guns for Hire that you beat? If memory
Yes, yep.
it was right. Excellent. I'm glad this is paying off for what the stuff that I do in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
But you mentioned that Ring of Honor comes along.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, you get to work. I mean, there was a name on here that's another good friend of the show, EC3. I know that you worked a little bit
Ah,
with him, and yeah, and obviously you were teaming with Shane Taylor as well. But there was a
yep.
little bit before, or a little bit after, or before that, you did manage to be working with both Briscoes at that
Hmm.
point. You done, I think it was
Yeah.
the 13th or something of November, I think, 2020, I believe. You did
Yeah.
work with both the Briscoes. What was that like working with? I mean, they're legendary, right? Jay, God rest his soul.
Hmm.
Mark, now TNT champion. He's
Yep.
got his own version of that belt. I wonder if we'll see that this week. But what was that? Talk me through that experience working with the Briscoes.
That felt like pressure. Um, Especially because during this COVID pandemic times, we were
Mm,
doing those shows where there was no crowds,
yeah,
and now we were live with Shane Taylor, so we were doing six mans, or we were just kind of doing run-ins, beating people up for him. We weren't really involved in the tag team scene at the time, but then I remember when we got that match announced to us, and we're like, wow, like they are Ring of Honor, the Briscoes. This is like
yeah.
arguably one of the best tag teams of all time. We're this new tag team. This is our huge first true test. They're like kind of intimidating too when you first meet them, just because they have this aura.
Mm,
These are two badass dudes who have done every kind of match imaginable. 13-time Ring of Honor Tag Champions. They are legends, and now we have to face them. And nobody really knew who we were. They didn't know how well could cut promos. Like, could we keep up with them? Again, there's no crowd, so you're kind of going off the energy that y'all have just in the ring.
yeah.
Um, I remember it being so much fun. They gave me like a double superplex off the top, terrifying. But I would think we gained their respect because, again, nobody knew what we were capable of. I
Mm,
think every time, I feel like I've been in a lot of positions in my career where I'd have matches and it just felt like a test every single time. Can they
yeah.
keep up? Can he keep up? Can they raise to this bar? Can they raise to this level? I think after we wrestled them, people were like, okay, yes, we can count on them. Now we are solidified on this roster, and now let's see what they can do. But I wish we got to wrestle them again. I only got to wrestle them twice, once in that 600 EC3 in the tag match, and then never touched again. But I always wished, even now with Toe, I was like, oh, I just wish we could have wrestled Jay and Mark. They're so good. They're so
Yeah.
good.
Mark, as I say, finally getting. When I say finally, because he's been a great champion, but maybe in many people's eyes, getting a bit about what he deserves after finally sort of overcoming
Finally,
the odds, right, and beating Carl
finally
Fletcher.
getting his flowers. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A great moment. Apart from if you're Carl Fletcher or a Carl Fletcher fan, of course,
Yeah.
you're not. I mean, I do want to bring these guys up because I mentioned just before we started. Good Troubles Volume 2, I believe, OWA. You took on the team of Duke Davis, Gannon Jones Jr., known as the main event.
Mm,
I know Gannon very, very well. As again, we work. I worked doing some promotion for Exodus, which is obviously his promotion he works in a bit of time. But when I look at independent wrestling and I look at the tag teams and I see this, it's so cool to see actually tag division. But what before I get into that bit, what was do you remember those matches with the main event that you had?
I remember the one at the Future of Honor show that we had at in Joplin, Maryland,
Hmm.
and I do. Was it just another tag match that we had when we were in Ohio? It might have been. But I remember those are the first two dudes that we saw. One, it's funny they look kind of just like us. They're just both 6'5", just huge, massive people. Everybody has so much hair. But
I
that was
don't.
kind of funny. It was like looking in the mirror. I'm like, oh wow, this is what we look like, but y'all are just both 6'5". Like this, okay, cool. But we always heard things about them. Like this is this tag team on the independent scene that's really doing things. We never really crossed paths with them. I think they were at our ROH dojo tryout too. But then I remember we got to have that match with them in Maryland. I think we went like almost 20 minutes. That was probably the longest match Moses and I had that time, where we were just at that point just throwing everything at the wall and just doing everything that we could in the match. I remember the first thing that somebody said when we came back, like, "Hey, we did too much," but that was the first time we got the ball to just, "Hey, here's the time, go kill it."
Mm.
And I thought we did that because that was the first time we got to wrestle two guys that were at our level or above our level that we got to just they could pick us up because we're both big too. We
Yeah.
could pick them up, do power moves, do cool sequences. We were kind of all just flowing. That was awesome. I remember in Ohio that I think it was a DQ finish maybe because I think SDP, all of SDP was there and we got a great crowd reaction. Everybody just booing and just started beating people down. So that does come to mind.
I do love the main event. I think they're a great team as well. But I wanted to touch on the tag thing because so maybe showing my age a bit here. So I grew up obviously in England and I was born in 84. So by the time I got to wrestling, it was like 89, 90. So I was fortunate enough to get Sky when it first came out over here in the UK. That was how we
Mm,
started watching wrestling. And I grew up like, Midnight Express, Demolition, Rockers,
mm,
Nasty Boys, Beverly Brothers, you name it. But tag team wrestling kind of in sort of mainstream wrestling died away for a very long period of time. Now, Ring of Honor, an exception to that, of course, but just going back to AEW, what I think that Tony Khan has done brilliantly is he's put a focus back on tag team wrestling and the trios. Obviously, there's now
yeah.
becoming the trio side of things, and that for me kind of because I love tag. I used to as a kid it was always about the hot tag. You
Hmm.
cut the ring off in half, you beat the guy, and then they finally get the hot tag, and it's and then it all goes
Yeah.
to the end. That's how it works, right? But I felt like we went through a period where it was just like, oh, this guy's not doing nothing, this guy's doing nothing. We'll throw them together. We'll give it 6 months,
Yep.
and then we'll split. Well, it was always a case of when are they going to split up? But I think
Mm,
now what AEW has done so well is they've put the emphasis back on teams. They last, they don't always break up, and but
yep.
they just feel now more important than what it did sort of maybe 20 years or so ago.
Yeah. That 100% true. These teams have equity, and like you said, you don't
Mm.
think about when they're going to break up because the people that get put to are in these teams or get put together to be in these teams, really mesh very well and have that bond, that relationship where it doesn't feel like there needs to be some type of dissension or someone
Mm.
splitting up. Like talking about the tag teams that you grew up, me as the Hardy Boys, Edge and
Yeah,
Christian, the Dudleys. I never thought about them breaking up until I got a little bit older, where then Edge and Christian split.
yeah.
But I never thought about when Jeff and Matt would break up because that was just what it was. Same with the Dudleys. Why? Why would they already have single
Mm.
stars? That's the point of the tag team division is to have these teams that stay together. And then you see it with FTR. They've been
Yeah.
together for 9, 10 years. You don't, e, you, it doesn't even cross your mind
No.
that those two will ever be apart.
It doesn't, but it also makes it bigger when it does happen because it doesn't
Yes.
happen so much, right?
Yep.
That's the thing. If FTR were to, I mean, then I'm not going to, but if they were, that would be
Mm,
massive. Like that would kind of like, I don't want to overdo it, but that would be like a shocking moment. Probably
yes.
get up there in the top five moments of the year if that did happen, right?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, it certainly would. But that's what I love about AEW is the thing, the trios, the tag division, it all gets that that kind of love, so to speak.
Respect.
It's not
Yep.
forgotten. Respect. That's a great word.
Yep.
Respect. about it. And so does the women as well. The women's roster on AEW, an incredible amount. Or
Tremendous,
for now is the women's Continental Classic. We'll touch on the men's in a minute.
man.
Hopefully we'll get the women's. But when you look at that women's roster, and we'll talk about the men's in a second, the women's roster in AEW, and you looked at the names like Mercedes Moné and Statlander had their match, and you've got the young ones like obviously Sky Blue and Julia Hart and people like that. And you look at these names and you look at the people there, and it's just like it astounds me sometimes when I read off the names of people on the roster, both rosters, women's and men's, but the women's just like. I feel like now what Tony Khan has done again, and this is something testament to AW, is used to be kind of like it used to be like, oh yeah, there's a women's match, but now you're like invested. Everything's got a meaning and a purpose, whatever division it is, and that's what really intrigues me about AEW is I can watch it and it could be anybody, but there's always a purpose to everything that they do. And the women itself, I don't feel as if they need to like go and prove a point, but they still want to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind is like the depth. It makes me think about
Mm.
like a NFL or soccer team. You have
Yeah.
football team, you have 53 people. Of course, you have your starters, but if someone gets hurt and the people, I guess, lower down on that depth chart have to play, they
Mm.
can go make plays.
Yeah.
So when you have people like, of course, you have like Mercedes and Tony, but then you think about the depth of that roster, and then oh, let's go see what Julia Hart can do in a singles match, and they go have a
Mm.
banger. Like everybody is so talented, but there's just so much depth to everybody. Um, I think that's awesome because when people do get those opportunities, or you talk about briefly the Continental Classic, when people get thrown those tournaments that you're not really familiar with, but then you learn about their backstory, and then they're able to go out there and have these amazing matches, get people invested. I think that's very cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's what I look forward to the most out of the continent or the C2 as we call it over here is like the prime example was Brody King. Like a couple of
Mhm.
years ago, obviously he was still is in a team obviously with Bandito now. He was back with Buddy Matthews and co back then, and because you see him quite regularly in tags, you don't always get to see him in a single. And you knew the guy's
Yes.
guy's a unit, right? You know that
Mhm.
you're not going to want to get on the wrong side of him. But to see him in then regular matches, 12 to 15 minutes with just one other guy, it just him. He showcases what he can do. That's again when I sort of differentiate things. AEW is so good at focusing on having a tournament like that. But then you'll get someone like a Brody King that just, or even like your good self, if you was in the C2 this year,
Yeah.
you have those 15-minute matches, five or six of them, and people then get to realize sometimes you don't always see how good somebody is until they're on their own. No disrespect to tag division, but when you're
Yeah.
there doing it on your own week in, week out, and Brody King's a prime example of how the C2 can really make you look at someone in a bit of a different light.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually just watching some of those matches the other day. I'm thinking about people like Mortos or Jay Lethal was in it, Roosh, Jay White.
Yeah.
Again, people that you don't think about being these singles like superstars, or not even superstars, but have these opportunities to have these 15, 20-minute matches, but the C2 gave 16 people to have these kind of matches. And then
Mm.
you get to learn the backstory, you get to see how the promos get to cut. So then
Yeah.
it immediately got you invested, made you excited to watch it. That's why I put out on Twitter. I hope to be in the Continental Classic because I need to represent Cameroon.
Yes.
It is funny to me that people will watch tag matches and be like, "Oh, we had no idea that you guys are so good." Well, I was doing single stuff before I got signed to
Yeah.
AEW, so like, yeah, we were clearly doing it well enough on our own on Dark to get this to this spot. So we just got to remind people that hey, everybody can go out there and do this.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
that. And hopefully, well, we'll find out. I think it begins this week,
this
if memory
Wednesday.
serves
Yeah.
me rightly. It does begin this week, so I'm really looking forward to it. But obviously, going back to your good self now, you obviously on Ring of Honor. You obviously you've done all the stuff with Shane Taylor.
Mhm.
I would say the call comes, because it feels like I don't want to disrespect Ring of Honor, but when you get that, we want you to come to Dynamite call, or we want you to come to a
Yeah.
Collision call. Does that kind of what's the I don't know, does it change the way that you think? Is it more exciting? What was the whole point when you got that call to say, hey, we got this idea for you, come over to Dynamite this week and we'll run it past you? How was that for you? What was the feeling like?
This is a weird time because 2 weeks before Final Battle, we had this call. We're like, hey, Ring of Honor is going to shut down. We have
Mhm.
one more taping, then we have Final Battle. If y'all want out of your contracts, you can. And I told people this before Ring of Honor, I didn't even really think that was a possibility. I didn't really know what that was, but I didn't.
Mhm.
I just wanted to try wrestling because I loved it as a kid. I didn't really
Yeah.
have aspirations. I didn't have a goal in my mind like I'm gonna get signed to this place. I'm gonna do this. This is gonna happen. I just kind of it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I just worked very hard, and just these opportunities presented themselves. Like, oh, this is, I guess, the next chapter of my career. Um, so I remember being backstage. I think at that taping, someone pulls me aside and it's like, "Hey, this guy wants your phone number. Dynamite's going to be in Texas. I know you live there. Is that something that you'd want to do?" Well, I didn't hear anything from the other company, so yeah, why not? Like, this would be a cool transition. I still have a full-time job. Ring of Honor is like my side gig, which
Yeah.
was cool to get paid from both. Uh, so I kind of had that plan, but I didn't know what to expect. And the person that I was talking to, my girlfriend, was doing dark matches, so she had this experience. And I was like, "Hey, uh, what? I don't know what to expect. What's it like over there? Like, what should I like do this or?" Anyway, they were in town, so ended up going there. It was like surreal because I didn't know anybody there except Austin Gunn, and I knew
Yeah.
him from the dojo. So I was like, I
Yeah.
don't. Do people know me? I'm still. I think that I'm new. Like I don't know really how to feel. But then of course people left Ring of Honor to go to AEW.
Yeah.
Um, so I saw some familiar faces, which was nice. But it was just kind of surreal because it felt like it was like the next step.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't know if I was going to get signed or not, but I knew that was going to have a dark match that I had to stand out, and I prepared for that. I watched Dark religiously, so I knew what people were doing. I knew I had to do something different, and
Yeah.
I knew that how I looked would also get me on t like a good prime spot. So
Yeah.
it was kind of surreal. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't tell STP about it. I just kind of kayfabed all of it because I didn't want it to feel like I was turning my back on people, but the company was closing, so I needed to figure out what I was doing for myself.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And you got there. That's the main. Now, that's
Yeah.
the other thing. You were good, and
Yeah.
you left an impression. I mean, I remember you had a. If I remember rightly, ahead of a dark. It was a dark match on Dynamite. Not maybe not your first one, but you took on Jay Lethal, I think, as well.
Uh, it was
It was
me.
before a Dynamite. It may not
That
be
was a
the
dark.
one, but it was.
Me and Lethal, me and him had a dark match like a few months ago. My dark AEW dark matches were Andrade, Adam
Yes.
Cole, and Kazarian.
Yes, I remember those three.
So
Yes, it
yeah,
was. Yeah, it was recent. I'm looking, scrolling down my notebook here. I was going to
yeah,
say you recently had one with Jay Lethal, and then obviously the
yeah.
ones before, obviously Adam Cole. The names there. I mean, you mentioned that Cole, Kazarian. This is like an incredible moment, and then obviously the opportunity becomes to the gates of agony. We open the gates of agony, so to speak, and it's
Yeah.
tag team again. You again. You've done the single, but you spent MCW was a lot of tags, so it's just like second nature for you. But then they get the opportunity to open up the gates of agony here. And how did you? Yeah, how was that feeling? Say the first time Dynamite Gates of Agony. Here we go, bang. What was that feeling like for you?
Uh, when the idea was pitched,
Yeah,
a little bittersweet, just because I was with Moses for
yeah,
well, a couple of years, so why not just, in my mind, that would make logical sense. Why not bring the partner over that I have? We already have this chemistry. Unfortunately, he didn't get the same opportunity that I did, so I got to just meet Toa, and that was presented. And if anything, I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, I've been doing this not super long, but I've been doing this long enough with the tag team.
yeah,
I was trained by Joey Mercury, who was in WWE, a great
yeah,
producer, helped create the Shield. This is what he told me: to be successful, we need to do these things." And so we debut on Supercard, which was cool with Tully
mhm,
Blanchard. But then, funny enough, our second match was the main event of Rampage and FTR. That was the
yeah,
second time we've ever wrestled together, and we had to go 15 minutes in the main event with ROH tag belts. And watching it back now, you can definitely see that it wasn't, we weren't completely in sync. We're still learning each other. And I think
mhm.
that's something that I wish just we had somewhere to go train because we live on the opposite ends of the country.
Yeah,
So just like, hey, let's get to like we would talk, but we just didn't feel each other out until now because now you can see it's completely different. There's so much more fluidity,
yeah,
talking to each other, communicating, knowing where each other's going to be. But back then it's like it's kind of like two singles guys. Hey, now you're this tag team, go have this match. I'm like, dude, we don't even we don't even have a finisher. We don't know what we're doing. So, but I mean, it was very surreal. It was like we got to have that match in DC, so it was
Mm,
cool. Right down there from Baltimore, FTR,
yeah,
like awesome. And then at that time we were already with Prince Nana, so
yes.
I think fondly back in those memories because that was very cool.
And obviously with Swerve Strickland as part of the Mogul Embassy as well. And look at, I
Yeah.
mean, Swerve comes back at the end of Full Gear. I mean, I don't know what Weetabix he's been eating, but I want some. I mean, they're
Man, he's
like, he
huge.
looks incredible.
Bigger than me.
He looked incredible when he come back this past weekend. We're going to start to wrap it up in a second, but we have to start with the last bit of the last subject in this bit, which is now the demand. Working with
Mm,
Ricochet. Ricochet was a guy that I always thought, and this isn't a disrespect to him, I always thought that wherever he was, barring that I felt that AEW was the natural fit. I always felt that where he was previously in WWE, that it was always like a ceiling, and it doesn't
mm,
matter how good he was, you could have been great. I just never saw, but he was so talented, and it was like when I saw that he'd come to AEW, I was like, this is the fit for someone. He is so good, he's going to do so well, but I never expected him to be when he turned heel, and it was just like wow, because you saw this totally different side of him that you never saw, and he works so well with what he does and how he does things.
hmm If you watch that media scrum, this is who he really is. That's,
Yeah,
that's the guy that we see every day. I mean, he likes us, of course, but
of course. Yeah.
I mean, I remember that moment when he stabbed and swerved with the scissors,
Mm.
with the white shirt, blood, glasses. This is a true villain right here, and I like it. I'm a fan.
Incredible though, but he is just so good, and I think that like it is quite. I mean, you obviously do you feel as if you're learning from Ricochet a little bit as well?
100%. And when we first got together, I was just asked because I didn't realize how long he's been doing this over what 22 years at this
Yeah.
point. Of course, he was in NXT, WWE. Now
Mhm.
he's here. He was in Japan. He has so much experience, a wealth of knowledge. He's a tremendous athlete. If he wasn't doing this, he'd tell you himself he'd be like an Olympian. And now everything's just clicking. But honestly, I think it's always been there. It's just with the
Yeah,
opportunities to get to really present yourself. And again, for he would say he gets to be himself.
yeah,
So being with him is always a learning experience, and it's cool to just pick his brain, the way that he thinks about wrestling, his psychology. Again, he's so athletic, but he doesn't even need to do that because he's such just a good wrestler.
yeah,
So it's cool to just be around somebody like that who so he is humble, but he's also very braggadocious. But it's just like the learning tree, and I just can just ask and throw questions at him. Hey, what was this like working with this person in Japan? Oh, what did you
Mm.
learn about this? And we'll put our matches together, see these little nuggets, and it's worked. We are
Mm.
the man, and everything's clicking, and people hate us, and I love it.
That's the whole point, though, right? You're there to be
Mm,
hated until you are, and that's doing the
yeah,
job, right? And literally that. But as you say, you got some gold now, and it's time for some more, perhaps, but for you and Toa as well to enjoy with Ricochet. Right, you're coming to the United Kingdom in a couple of weeks. You're going to be in Manchester now. In the UK, we have what's generally known as controversial foods. All right, so
okay,
these are foods
okay.
that you either love or you hate, right? And
Mm,
it could just be what they are, what's in them. It could be how you eat them. It could be a load of things. So behind me in a minute, I'm going to put some foods up, and they're going to be one at a time, and I'm going to explain what they are and what's in them. And we're going to see if you will like Z food. So just bear with me one moment while I get my background ready. I'm going to see what one I'm going to start with. In fact, I'm probably going to start with a. This is more. You tell you what, if you speak to Will Ospreay when he's back, he'll tell you about this food.
mm,
Right.
okay.
So this is a great food. See, I'm going to move a minute. There you go. So you can see it. That is what's called pie mash, and there's this other thing on there. Now I know in America this is going to have a different meaning when I say the word liquor. Liquor in America I know is alcohol.
Mm, yes.
That green stuff isn't alcohol. It is a parsley sauce. So that is a mince pie. So it's pie with like mince and onion in it, with your mash and liquor. In England and Essex, like where Will is, this
Mm.
is like the don of the foods. Would you eat that? Is that something you could see? Would you be able to eat?
I was almost with the sliced onions, maybe not, but like when they're chopped up and very small,
Oh, you
you don't
don't
really
hardly
taste.
see them.
You
Yeah,
don't, yeah, you don't really taste them. So I definitely would try that.
definitely would try it. See, pie master.
Yeah.
Ask Will Ospreay. He will know.
Okay.
Funny enough, on a side note, I actually go to his mum's promotion quite a lot.
Really?
I live
Okay.
about 20 minutes away from the promoter from her promotion. And I go there quite often watch some independent wrestling. Right, let
Very
me do the
cool.
next one. This one's I'm going to do this one next. Actually, I don't know if they do this at Fulham football clubs. We might have to ask Tony Khan this. I've not been to Fulham in a while. I don't support them, so this thing here is called Bovril, right? And it says there beefy drink. Bovril is a beef and yeast extract, right? So sometimes you can put this in hot water and you can
Hmm.
drink it. So on a cold day at the soccer, watching Fulham, you get some beef paste or whatever you call it, or you can also put it on toast.
Okay, interesting.
Your thoughts on Bovril?
I would try it, especially if it's cold and that's hot. I feel like that'd probably be kind of good,
Oh.
like just a little bit of warmth.
Hmm.
If there's a good amount of salt and sodium in there, I probably would have it.
Also, it's got protein as well,
Yeah,
beef.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'd feel bloated, but I'd definitely try that too.
I say you have to ask Tony if they do it at Fulham. I'm not
Okay.
sure if they do it at Fulham. They do it at my local football club, that I do know, or soccer club. Now this one, I wish my co-host Fiona was on this. So she's Scottish, and you're not going to be too far from Scotland in Manchester.
Mm-mm.
This, I mean, it looks horrific. This is haggis, right? Now, this is what it says here. It's a Scottish savoury pudding made from sheep's heart, sheep's liver, and sheep's lungs. It comes with oatmeal, onions, suet, and spices, and it's normally served with mash, like what I just said earlier on. What do you make of that thing behind me?
Absolutely not.
That is when I speak to Fiona this week. I mean, that is just ridiculous. I wouldn't even go there
Mm.
myself. Two more left, and then we'll wrap up. So the last one here. Now, this is again very, very controversial in the UK. I don't like this personally. This thing right here. This is black pudding. Now, this is a blood sausage made from animal blood, pork, oatmeal, and barley.
Nope.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, I'm going to finish off with a dessert,
Okay.
everyone. So my favorite, I have a sweet tooth. So this
Same.
is going to be quite funnily named. So believe me, it's not what it says. When I say this thing here is called spotted dick, right? This is what it's
Okay.
called. Like I said, there it is. And spotted, it's basically just a sponge pudding with suet, some dried fruit in there, and you normally have a bit of custard to pour over the top.
Mm.
There.
I mean, pause on the name, but I would definitely try that. That I love sweets, so I would definitely eat that.
Wait until you see the ones I've got. Wait until you see the ones that Preston gets. Preston Vance, who I'm
Okay.
interviewing this week. He's going to get some. He's going to get some absolute corkers in his. But there you go. There's some great food that you can eat over here in the UK. Yeah, definitely don't
Cool.
have the haggis or the black pudding though. But
Nah,
look, we're
not at
gonna we're
all.
gonna wrap up on as we wrap up. Look, everyone at home, if you're in the UK. AEW Dynamite is on a Friday night, so when Tony does do the next television right, if you can bump that up a day or two, that would be
Mm.
much appreciated. Collision is also on a Tuesday over here in the UK. That's on ITV4. The best thing about it is you don't need a subscription. As long as you've got a television that has Freeview on the UK, you'll be able to see it free of charge, which is even better.
Nice.
Over in the States, of course, Dynamite is on TBS on a Wednesday and also streaming on HBO Max. Collision is on a Saturday, but that does change quite regularly, depending on
Hmm.
what's going on, especially on the pay-per-view nights. That may change if the pay-per-view's on the Saturday. Obviously, World's End coming up on the 27th of December. I think that's right.
I believe
27th.
so. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I believe that is. But man, it's been great to have you on. I really appreciate your time. I hope you have fun over here
Yeah,
in
dude.
Manchester in a few weeks and have some haggis when you go when you go
Definitely. Yo,
over.
thank you for having me. Some of those questions were took me down memory lane, especially with the Bomb Squad stuff from early 2017 days. So that was you did your research. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. Big thanks to you for coming on show, guys. Like I said, Dynamite this week in the UK this Friday. Make sure you watch it. But for the man in demand, Bishop Kaun, I've been your host, Adam Cousins. You've been watching Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Until next time with Preston Vance, everyone, stay elite, stay safe, and goodbye.